All right, so Apple's dropped the new MacBook Neo, and honestly, it's making some waves because of that price tag. It's a lot lower than we expected. But that's the big question, right? Is it actually too good to be true? We're going to find out if this thing can really hang in a real-world workflow, or if those savings mean you're giving something important up.
So what's the deal? Is this the affordable powerhouse we've all been hoping for? Or are there some sneaky compromises hiding under the hood? Let's dig in and really see what this MacBook Neo is all about.
Okay, so here's the plan. We're going to put the new MacBook Neo up against a real contender, the M4 MacBook Air. And we're not just looking at spec sheets. That's boring. We want to see how this thing actually performs when you throw real developer and creator tasks at it. All right, let's get this thing unboxed and see what we're working with. You know, right out of the box, the Neo makes a few immediate impressions. Some are surprisingly good, and others are, well, let's just call them interesting choices on Apple's part. First thing you notice? The screen. And honestly, thank goodness Apple did not cheap out here. It's a proper, vibrant, super sharp Retina display. But you know what's even better? Look what's missing. The notch is gone. It just makes the whole thing look so much cleaner. Okay, and here's something that might seem small, but it's a huge practical win. This silver finish, it's a beast against fingerprints. A total champ. I mean, if you've ever owned a space gray or midnight MacBook, you know the struggle is absolutely real. This finish, problem solved. So you can already see the give and take happening here, right? On the plus side, you get that fantastic, familiar MacBook keyboard we all know and love, and that awesome notchless screen. But here's the take part. You're losing a couple of things. There's no fingerprint reader for Touch ID, and the screen doesn't have True Tone. Now, the trackpad is different. Apple actually went old school here. It's a physical button. You know, it actually clicks down instead of using haptics. And at first, it feels a little firm. I'm not gonna lie. But here's the pro tip. Just dive into the settings, turn on tap to click, and boom, it feels totally effortless again. Super easy fix.
Okay, enough about the look and feel. Let's get to the main event, performance. How does this A18 Pro chip actually hold up when you throw some serious work at it? We're talking a real-world gauntlet here, the kind of stuff developers and creators do all day, every day. So we've set up 3 specific trials for this thing. First up, we're compiling a real production-ready app in Xcode. Then we're going to make it sweat by rendering a 4K video in DaVinci Resolve. And for the grand finale, we'll see if we can choke that 8 gigs of RAM by testing its multitasking with a known memory hog, VS Code. And we've got our first result. The Neo chewed through that complex app compilation in just under 12 seconds. That's pretty solid. But honestly, what's more important is how it felt. Just navigating the code, searching for stuff, jumping between files, the whole experience was just incredibly snappy. No lag at all.
Okay, next challenge. Video rendering. And wow, the Neo rendered a full minute of 4K video in only 25 seconds. But again, it's not just about the final number. Scrubbing through the 4K timeline was buttery smooth, and the colors on that display looked super natural and really well calibrated. Very, very impressive stuff for a budget machine.
All right, but what about the big question on everyone's mind? That base 8 gigs of RAM. Is it enough? Well, we kept Xcode and DaVinci Resolve open, and then we threw VS Code, a classic memory-hungry app, right on top. The result? It didn't even blink. It handled the entire workload perfectly. No issues, no slowdowns, nothing. So, okay, the Neo has definitely proven it's a really capable machine on its own, no doubt about it. But now for the real showdown. How does it actually stack up against its more expensive sibling, the M4 MacBook Air? Let's run the exact same tests and find out what that extra money really gets you.
And here we go. In the Xcode test, the M4 Air is definitely faster. It clocked in at 7.5 seconds, while the Neo took about 11.5. That's a 34% speed boost for the Air. Now, on paper, that sounds like a huge difference, but it immediately begs the question.
Is 4 seconds really going to make a difference in your day-to-day? I mean, think about it. When you're in the zone, compiling code over and over, is that tiny 4-second pause really a deal breaker? For most people, probably not.
And it's a really similar story with video rendering. The M4 Air is faster here too, about 25% faster. It finished that 1-minute render in 19 seconds compared to the Neo's 25. So yeah, the Air wins again. But again, let's bring this back to the real world.
Okay, so if you scale that up to, say, a more realistic 8-minute video, that difference is just 48 seconds. As the reviewer put it, when you've already spent 8, maybe 12 hours putting a project together, is saving less than a minute at the very end going to change your life? To be honest,
Not really.
All right, let's wrap this up. We've seen that the raw speed difference, in practical terms, isn't that big of a deal. But there is one other really crucial area where these two laptops start to pull apart, and that's battery life.
This little table really tells the whole story, doesn't it? You can see those small speed differences we talked about right next to the battery numbers. And look at that. Under a heavy load, the Neo is burning through about 15% of its battery per hour. The M4 Air, it's way more efficient, only using about 9%. Now for light stuff, they're both great. But under pressure, that's where the difference shows.
And this, right here, is the biggest takeaway from all of this. The real compromise you're making with the MacBook Neo, it's not losing a few seconds on a render. It's the battery life. It's the efficiency hit you take when you are really truly pushing this machine to its limits.
So at the end of the day, it really comes down to you. Is a little more speed and better battery life under heavy load worth the extra cash for the Air? Or are you happy with the Neo's totally solid performance for a lot more savings? It's all about which of those things matters more to your workflow.